La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la.
Hello and welcome to Don't Bury the Lead. We recap WWE SmackDown every Friday night after the bell. My name's Jonathan Dell. I'm joined by Dom Scarcella. Dom, go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
John, Cody Rhodes seems to have no trouble finding friends, but he seems to have a little trouble keeping them from getting destroyed by the Bloodline. And with that as your teaser, John, don't bury the lead. What's our top story from SmackDown for July 19th, 2024?
Dom, we don't ever bury the lead. And let me tell you something. The lead's going to sound a little familiar. The Bloodline attacks Cody Rhodes after a match and hands a beatdown. Before the beatdown, there's a match between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens. And Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, a tag match. And Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens win the match. Dom, what did you think about this segment where you had the tag team match and then the Bloodline beatdown?
They teased this earlier in the show with a backstage segment with the Bloodline there and Solo Sikoa saying anybody who tags with Cody Rhodes tonight, you're against me, you're against the Bloodline, you're against the Tribal Chief. Because they set this up good. Opening segment of the show, just very briefly, was Cody Rhodes talking about the Bloodline. Grayson Waller and Austin Theory come out and accuse Cody of being the reason why they got beat down last week by Jacob Fatu, along with everybody else and his best friend, Randy Orton, or at least someone he was making out to be his great friend, his mentor, and all that stuff. And so this turned into, okay, Cody Rhodes wants to fight Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, but he needs a tag partner. He's got to find one. And he finds Kevin Owens, who's already on the bad side of the Bloodline. So why not? And they have a pretty good match. This match goes 12 minutes, bell time at 9:41 here on the East Coast. Cody Rhodes hits a crossroads on Austin Theory for the pinfall at 9:53. And then we get about 4 minutes of post-match with the Bloodline walking to the ring. The babyface is getting the early advantage, but then Jacob Fatu turns things around. They're really trying to make him out to be this unstoppable monster. They keep calling him the Enforcer, which was what Solo Sikoa's old tag was in the Bloodline, the Enforcer Solo Sikoa. It's now the Enforcer Jacob Fatu. And it's similar to last week. Why now they're holding back Cody while they beat up one of Cody's friends. And then eventually Cody gets triple power bomb through the announce table, and then Kevin Owens, after getting dismantled in the ring by Jacob Fatu, gets a steel chair around his neck and thrown into the ring post. So this is another Bloodline stands tall at the end of the show. What say? I mean, there are We Want Roman chants that can be heard as the show goes off the air. So with everything that's wrapped into here, and of course we can talk about the match if we want. I do want to mention a few things about the match, but what say you 2 weeks before SummerSlam about continuing to just pile on this main event storyline of Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa and the Bloodline looking unstoppable and also looking like they're trying to isolate Cody Rhodes so that he has no healthy friends, no capable backup, nobody who can be there at his defense or standing in his corner. What say you there?
Well, at the end of the day, I think you alluded to this. Like, what is this doing for the rivalry? Is this helping the rivalry? And last week I was like, yeah, they're just trying to get through. They're kind of just pushing through. SummerSlam's around the corner. There'll do some simple stuff. But now they're just kind of repeating what I feel like we've seen already, where the Bloodline jumps Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
I know there's been an outrageous amount of criticism for AEW for bad storytelling. Is this what the good storytelling is? Is this what, like there's been so many people that have talked about how AEW can't do any storytelling And WWE is just like masterful at it recently. And I think they have been, but from a storyline perspective, it's just kind of basic. Like, oh, they jumped them, they're bad. Oh, they jumped them, they're bad. But like, we're not getting that old bloodline concept where there was like a lot of moving parts and a lot of different things happening. But yeah, at the end of the day, I kind of get what they're doing. They're just kind of keeping things simple. And I think a lot of the other aspects of the show make up for it. So I don't want to bury them too much here. But I do find it interesting that a lot of people on the internet are just trashing AEW for storyline stuff. And this is the big storyline going into SummerSlam.
This is the big storyline, and I'm going to take maybe a different perspective here because I was not high on how they ended last week's show with them just, beating up Cody Rhodes again and then beating up Randy Orton. But if the goal going into SummerSlam is to isolate Cody Rhodes, then this week on top of last week makes more sense than just last week. Because now they've taken out Randy Orton. Now they've taken out Kevin Owens. Now they're like, who's left?
Right.
How could Cody Rhodes possibly win this at SummerSlam if he's got nobody left who will watch his back and it's going to be 4-on-1?
Mm-hmm.
So, and we've got one more week, really, next week's SmackDown before, actually 2 SmackDowns, but the night before SummerSlam probably won't be a ton of stuff happening. But next week's could be interesting. Like, who else could they beat up from Cody Rhodes's friend circle? I mean, are they going through his Facebook account, seeing who's this guy friends with? Is there someone we could beat up here? Who haven't we beat up? If this were the MySpace days, I would say they're going through his MySpace and looking through his top 8.
Yes. Who is the top 8? Is it
who's in his top 8 that we haven't beat up yet? Okay, we got to take out his whole top 8. Gosh, I'm really old in internet years.
Everyone misses MySpace. I don't know why it doesn't get rebooted, but there was a moment there when they did the top 8, and that was nasty because then you'd have to select your favorite top 8 friends. To avoid doing that, I would select hobbies and interests and put them in as friends.
Yes.
So I wasn't ranking my friends, which is really an odd thing to do.
I had a music profile, so I kind of did the same thing. It was the recording studio, the mastering studio, the photographer, the place that pressed the CDs, Ovation guitars, all sorts of
That's what that was the early stuff when social media was great, and then we're like, oh, actually it's not. There's aspects of it that aren't that good, and that was one of them. But anyways, enough about MySpace. We're burying the show.
It's a great show. We're 7 minutes in and talking about a defunct social media site.
Well, you got me excited. You talked about MySpace. I was like,
of course.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So tell us in the chat, tell us in the comments, who is left in Cody Rhodes' top 8 that the Bloodline has to take out before SummerSlam?
I'll tell you what, I really like some of the matches tonight, and I thought this was a pretty good tag match. I want to talk about some of the spots from it.
Yes.
Austin Theory, just amazing bumps that he takes sometimes. Cody did the dusty elbow, the bionic elbow, but it's a tribute to his father, which is the thing. The Nepo baby elbow. So he does the elbow, and the way that Theory takes the bump and pops up and does the ridiculous bump, it's so athletic and makes it look wild. I really like that. And then I do want to give credit to one thing I think Kevin Owens does better than most people in pro wrestling, and that's work a corner. So when he seems to kind of post up in a corner, and instead of doing a bunch of stuff back, Irish whips off the rope, they hang around out on the corner and they do things that are unique. He gets up on it. He never seems to get taken down off of it. Corey Graves always calls that out. And there's different things that he does up there that kind of build to a high impact move. And you're like, oh, how will they get there? They do different things to get there. So I like the way that Owens just works a corner. And I don't think a lot of people do that. So it's really unique from and it's simple, right? So
Yeah, it's you don't have to fly all over the place to put on a decent, scuffle in somewhere, and like you said, it doesn't have to be Irish whips all over the place,
yeah, it's not
which
like
is great.
we're going all over the ring.
Yeah.
It's useful for tag matches, and I think it's great in singles matches too, just to like, this is the designated corner. We're going to do some stuff around there. If you have that format, then you can you don't have to go, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. You can improv a lot easier in that corner.
Okay, so you've been an indie wrestler, so
Oh yeah,
you look for stuff like
I
that.
love the corner,
Right,
especially because in the indies, when you wrestle in the indies, there aren't a lot of people, and they usually are forced into some sort of corner space.
yes.
So you'd have a hard cam, and then there's the corners that shows the crowd, and then there's one side that has the band, at least for our old shows, and then
Yeah,
one side was pretty bare up against the wall, and then you'd have
Mhm.
like the crowd up in a corner. So you would be like, okay, let's work that corner, and we'd say stuff like, stay there as long as possible. Let's stay in this corner as long as possible. We'll do some stuff here, and maybe we'll make our way to the outside at some point.
I also like this match, and the work of the two heels. I thought this was really an impressive showing for each of them. Waller makes a blind tag, hits that somersault flatliner on Cody Rhodes for a 2 count. Now eventually the closing sequence is Cody hits a Cody cutter on Theory after Waller kind of slipped out of the way of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then KO stunners Waller to neutralize him. Cody hits Crossroads for the pinfall. Bumps. Grayson Waller, I really like how he takes the stunner.
Yeah.
He gets stunned by Kevin Owens here, and instead of just dropping straight down, he kind of bounces and then falls through the middle rope to the outside.
Right.
So it's a tremendous bump. It's like, okay, he's completely out of the rest of the match now.
For sure.
Like, he really takes a bump there. And I like each of these guys. They're and on one hand, you're saying, okay, they're getting sent out there tonight just to be fed to them, just to get beat up by the two baby faces before we get to the real main event, which is the schmaz with the Bloodline. But on the other hand, I think it's great that they gave these guys 12 minutes for the match. I think this shows that they think highly of Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. That they trusted these guys to go 12 minutes with two top baby faces and look strong for most of the match before eventually, yes, we're putting over the Universal Champ at the end with the pinfall. So
Cody Rhodes is the champ, right?
Yeah,
in pro wrestling right now.
Yeah.
So he's the champ, and as far as I'm concerned, you get a main event like that, and seeing where they're at on the card, and they're pretty good heel. I don't want to say jobbers, but people they're going to lose, but they put on a good match.
Mm-hmm. And they did have their little run of success with the tag belts recently, so it's not like they're only jobbers. And maybe I'm teasing what the next thing I'd like to go to is. Do you have anything else for the lead here, or should we mosey on down to the follow?
Yes, I think what's next here is the follow, but I do want to say we talked about SmackDown, we talk about the lead. We go into the follow where we talk about the rest of the show. But before we do that, I do want to mention we have just hit 700 subscribers. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, go ahead and subscribe to be 701, 702, maybe even 703. So we are up to 700 subscribers. I want to shout out to people that have clicked the subscribe button. Thank you very much. It's very helpful because we have a tiny, small channel that's kind of growing here. So it's a lot of fun.
Yes, thank you all very much. If you're watching us live on Twitch or on Twitter, X, thank you wherever you're finding us. Know that the motherlode of our content is, as you said, John, over at the YouTube channel. That's where not only the live streams are, but the archive of the live streams, plus the edited videos that you put together, John, and the shorts. We've had, I think, 4 of the last 5 shorts you've put out have gone at least 3,000 views.
Crazy.
But they've been very good. They've been very well received by the YouTube viewing audience, and we hope to keep that up there. So, where next here on this SmackDown program? I have someplace that I want to go.
Dom, let's kick it to you. What's the next match you want to talk about? And I have a feeling I know what it is.
It's Tiffany Stratton versus the front runner for the Ricochet Memorial Award, MICHIN. This match goes 8 minutes. It's really entertaining, and MICHIN gets the pinfall over the Women's Money in the Bank winner. Rolls up Tiffany Stratton after an 8-minute, pretty fast match here. We were just talking about sometimes the guys that lose a lot, they get a little stretch where they win. MICHIN's been awesome. I was laughing when the announced tandem was saying, she's been hot lately. I'm like, what?
I know. I said the same thing.
What wrestling promotion have you been watching?
She has lost every match I've ever seen her wrestle for the last year.
Right?
And they're like, oh, she's really. They like started talking her up. I was like, what? No.
She's had some great matches, but she hasn't won anything in a long time.
Yes, she's been ice cold.
So this was fun to see. MICHIN gets the roll-up win here. There was a little distraction here because, of course, the big story here is Nia Jax versus Bayley coming up at SummerSlam. Nia Jax was in Tiffany Stratton's corner, and her interference did play a role in this match early and sort of midway. And then, of course, Bayley emerges from the crowd and involves herself at the end, again, as a distraction. She doesn't get physical there with Tiffany Stratton or anything, but she is there as a distraction. So what to make of this, I think, very fast-paced 8-minute match? I thought it was really entertaining. I thought MICHIN died at one point early in the match going to the first commercial when Tiffany Stratton did the cartwheel into the Alabama Slam on the floor.
That's the craziest.
She's dead. They killed MICHIN. She's dead.
That Alabama Slam is nasty.
Yeah,
that's probably the nastiest move in pro wrestling. I mean, she must have had the wind knocked out of her the way she went down with that impact.
Mm-hmm.
And WWE does a great job. They hit the slow motion replay after it, and it looks as nasty as you think it is.
And I'm trying to remember if Bobby Eaton or some of the older wrestlers would hit that move by also dropping down to their knees. Tiffany Stratton just remains totally upright. That's worse than a power bomb.
Oh yeah, that 100%.
Alabama Slam is faster moving and worse than a doggone power bomb. Tiffany Stratton doesn't bend over. She doesn't drop to her knees. It's not a sit out. She does nothing to lessen the speed at which the opponent is hitting the mat, or in this case, the padding on top of the floor. Like, it's a brutal looking freaking move. I thought MICHIN was dead. Apparently, I was wrong. She was not dead because they came back from the first commercial and MICHIN winds up getting the roll up for the win here. But holy mackerel.
Yeah, it's
MICHIN
crazy.
Taking that bump.
Something too with that, it's such a great point that they don't drop down to the knee, and it's worse than the Kevin Nash powerbomb, which always looked bad and was bad. Like, you hear the old shoot interviews, they're like, yeah, that sucked to take. But it's just, she knows where she's at on the card. She has a rocket strapped to her. So maybe she's just saying, hey, to hell with it. I'm going to work stiff and see what happens, because that move's crazy. But as a fan, I love it because it just looks awesome. So I'm like, hey, I'm not taking it. It looks crazy.
Right. There's no chairs, no tables, no kendo sticks, no ladders, no thumbtacks, nothing involved, no foreign objects involved. It's just, my goodness, what a freaking bump.
Yeah, if they did a top rope move onto a table, I'd be like, boring. But then, when I see the Alabama Slam, I'm like, whoa, Well,
especially as an indie wrestler, you're like, okay, they went through the table. If the table's rigged properly, the table actually breaks your fall and lessens the impact. Now you're just watching somebody get slammed onto, what is it, one of those gym mats on top of a concrete floor of an arena?
Oh, yeah, it's nothing.
Yeah.
Like, it might as well be concrete.
Yes.
Mhm.
Now, other great stuff in this match. Michin does a rope walk tornado DDT. They're doing that more with the women, I've noticed. Lyra Valkyria tried that in the women's Money in the Bank match, and Michin is now doing this as well. I like the rope walk tornado DDT. Shows some real balance, and it shows some real timing between the two wrestlers in the ring there. Tiffany Stratton, of course, does that wonderful handspring back elbow in the corner, which I always enjoy.
Yeah.
If she's not the best ever at it, she's 1A to the Great Muta. I love that move.
Mhm.
And it's fantastic, and she hits it well. Just a great match. I mean, if we want to go through the opening closing sequence here, Michin does a second turnbuckle missile drop kick, sends Tiff to the outside. Michin looks like she's going for a dive. That's when Nia Jax grabs her foot. So
Mhm.
there's the interference where Nia's getting physical, putting her hands on Michin, not like before where she just kind of got between Michin and Tiffany Stratton on the outside. So Tiff gets back in the ring after the distraction, hits a rolling senton where she's got Michin up on the shoulders there, then climbs the ropes for the moonsault. That's when Bayley appears, and now it's Distraction City. Nia goes after Bayley. Bayley sends her over the barricade. Then she's using the Money in the Bank briefcase on Nia, then smashing the heck out of the briefcase and breaking it open as if she's going to like take the contract away or something, but she doesn't. She just breaks the briefcase open, and Tiffany Stratton just yelling and screaming, "What are you doing? That's my briefcase. That's my contract. I earned that." Roll up 1, 2, 3. Michin gets the win. Yeah. So this was a fun match. Lots of action. Michin did not die. So, check marks all around.
I got some news for you. Really good stuff. I liked it so much because Michin won. I think we both are pulling for Michin because all the matches she has on SmackDown are good.
Yes.
And then Tiffany Stratton, my goodness, what a star, right? When she has the whole package and then she comes out now, and you could see they've done a little bit more with her entrance, with the lights kind of shining on her.
Mhm.
And the crowd knows she's there. I think she's going to be, she kind of feels like what Jade was supposed to be, right? Jade Cargill. Like, whoa, this
Okay.
person's a real monster star. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, she doesn't have the height, and she's not that gargantuan comic book character. She's a tremendous athlete, has a look, has an attitude to her. Yeah, she's really good at all that stuff. And kudos to her for as a heel getting distracted and getting in a fight, you're getting rolled up for a win.
I know.
She's getting pinned, women's Money in the Bank, getting pinned here on a SmackDown. So, and it's not going to lessen her,
No, not
push
at all.
It's just a great little twist there that creative did for this match.
And I
well put together all the way around.
no, I think it's fantastic match of the night, and probably one of the cooler things we've seen on SmackDown in a while. Yeah, so we can go to the next match here, and
I think we got 3 really good TV matches tonight.
me too, really. I think probably the one I actually would consider match of the night until I saw the Tiffany Stratton match, and MICHIN match is Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes, and
Yes.
Andrade picks up the win, which I was actually a little surprised about.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was a pretty good match here. They started really fast, and I was like, man, they're working a little too fast. Just because they were flying around, they're doing all the flippy stuff. Okay, I know, Carmelo, you could do this, but
yes,
when they started to lock in and slow down a little bit,
Yes.
and actually started wrestling, I thought they had a good pace toward the second half of the match. They really picked it up. Andrade was over, and when he finally played to the crowd and did like a little "come on, let's go," the crowd really responded.
Yep.
So it's exciting to see Andrade kind of find footing as a face, and people were cheering for him. And Carmelo, I think, was good enough here where the match was good. We'll have to see what's up with him down the road. I know they think highly of him. He was the number 1 overall pick.
Yes, right.
But
as they should. I think he looked good in this match, like you were saying. both guys looked really good in this match. They gave him 10 minutes here, bell time 8:20.
Yeah, what do you have for this one?
Andrade hits that double underhook twisting sort of neck breaker for a pinfall at 8:30. So
Yeah.
this is 10 pretty fast-paced minutes of match action here. And you were right. They started off kind of feeling each other out, but instead of feeling each other out like two, behemoths would do it with maybe collar and elbow tie-ups and tests of strength, they're feeling each other out with, quick roll-ups and float overs and, reversals and whatnot. And, guys trying to flip each other and, guys landing on their feet instead of landing on their back. And so it was one of those like, oh no, you haven't worn me down nearly enough to get that shot in yet.
Yeah,
But
I know.
But like it reminded me of, and I know he's injured now. It reminded me of watching Tyler Bate,
Yeah.
who like the beginning of his matches always looks like, what is he doing? Gymnastics? What is this, Pilates? What's he doing? And then he would get into, being the big strong boy and locking up with guys and actually wrestling, and you'd be like, okay, this is better. And so these guys did it too. I think they were, especially coming off of their confrontation in the men's Money in the Bank match. These guys were trying to build off of that aura they had going on, that these are the two high flyers, lots of speed, lots of aerial maneuvers. And they did it. It was great stuff. Mello blocked the Spanish fly on the second rope early by knocking Andrade off balance, and then hit a springboard leg drop as Andrade was kind of teetering on that middle rope with his head inside the ring there. Andrade finally did hit a Spanish fly later. So they did a lot of really good tandem moves. Andrade hit 2 dragon screws. This is the second time I've talked about the Great Muta in this recap so far. So we had
he's a fantastic reference. So keep him coming.
Handspring back elbows in the corner, and now dragon screws. Then a big forearm, then a meteor in the corner. Mello kicks out at 2. Mello hit a float over spinning bulldog that I really like of his. Andrade hits a moonsault. I haven't seen this before. Andrade goes for a moonsault. Mello rolls away. Andrade lands on his feet and goes right into a standing moonsault and hits it. Because Mello basically rolled farther away from the corner that Andrade had been in. I've never seen that before. Andrade
that was cool.
That was cool. The timing was there. The placement was there. It was perfect. Andrade hit a spinning elbow for a 2 count. He goes for another top turn move, but Mello caught him with his chest cracker, which he calls the first 48 for a 2 count. So even after the early thing where they were doing lots of roll-ups and small packages, later on, they were so many near falls in this match. This was not a match where, you're just waiting around for a pinfall attempt at the end after the 5 moves of doom. These guys, this was fast-paced. There was a lot of offensive wrestling, but then I really enjoyed that they got into some defensive wrestling too. So it looked more like a spot fest. It looked less like a spot fest, more like a pretty good wrestling match. Any moves that stood out to you? Any of these that were your favorite?
I think you kind of covered it, to be honest with you. There was a lot of different spots you could kind of hang in there with that you mentioned. I kind of mentioned everything I wanted to talk about with this match, and it's cool to see Andrade pick up a win. I don't think it makes Carmelo Hayes look like a chump, because it was a strong fought match, and that's kind of what we want to see. Because sometimes SmackDown has squashes, or sometimes they have, people. I don't know. Like if the matches are really short, then you're like, okay, that's not that good. But if you get like a 10, 15-minute match or whatever, at least 9-10 minutes out of a match, then you're like, okay, this is a hard-fought match, and maybe they're giving Andrade a little push, and Carmelo Hayes can lose a match. It's all right.
Yeah, if both wrestlers perform well and show how athletic they are, I don't think it really buries you to lose a match on a SmackDown or a Raw.
Yeah,
I think Carmelo Hayes is going to be fine after this match.
Yeah, for sure.
He looked great. He lost the match technically, but I thought he looked great. I don't see how he goes to the back thinking, "Oh, my career's over."
Yeah.
No, his career's just starting. He's got a long way to go. He's going to be fine. And I am more intrigued by Andrade because Andrade had maybe a little less fanfare over the past year, especially coming back from AEW.
He's been back for a while.
He's been back for. Charlotte Flair got hurt before he came back.
He was at Royal Rumble, right?
Yeah, so it's been maybe just this year.
Okay.
This calendar year. It's like six months.
Yeah.
Almost 6 months at this point. And it seemed like less fanfare. Like you were mentioning, Carmelo Hayes was their #1 draft pick. He's been the quick talker on the mic. They've had him in there with, Logan Paul and LA Knight. They've had him get into some back and forths on the mic with guys too. I don't think we've seen a lot of that from Andrade yet. I think we've seen much of him cutting promos, which will be
he
like
can't
the next
speak
step
English.
Really?
No. His English. He and Charlotte, when they talk, they use like Google Translate.
Really? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. No, he's like notably. He just. It's like there's nothing there. It's not even like he's like working toward it a little bit. It's like nah. It's just.
Oh,
those.
wow.
Some of those baseball players. And
Yeah.
they've been in the league for 10 years, and they still have a translator.
They got the translator. Okay.
Shohei Ohtani has the translator still, and he's been in the U.S. for years, and he's just like, nah, just get the translator.
He's better at it than I am.
Right.
My job is to hit and sometimes pitch.
No.
Okay, I did not know that about Andrade. So maybe this makes a push for Andrade seem a little more curious here. Because like WWE is big on guys being able to talk. I mean, you don't all have to be, LA Knight or Cody Rhodes or Roman Reigns, but you've got to be able to get yourself into a big old program and build to it in an angle without having to fight everybody. So maybe I'm now more interested to see how they handle an Andrade push if they have one.
Maybe he speaks a little better English since he's been with Charlotte for so long and figured a little bit of it out. But for a while there, I know that was the story between him and Charlotte, is that they would talk through Google Translate because his English was just not there.
Okay,
so
there's a surprising endorsement for Google Translate that there was unexpected there.
Yes.
Speaking of squashes.
Yeah, right. I know. I kind of set it up here, but yeah, this was a weird match. We have Bianca Belair versus Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green coming off a fantastic performance at Money in the Bank.
Yes.
And she's been quite hot for a while here.
Mm-hmm.
And deservedly so. People have been digging her in the crowd. We've been talking highly about her versus Bianca Belair, who debatably is the best worker in WWE. Bianca, I really think is a fantastic in-ring person. But Bianca Belair ends up just squashing Chelsea Green. Dom, I wrote squash in my notes. You have anything to say about this match?
I like the rivalry they're setting up between the two tag teams. I'm wondering why it wasn't maybe Jade in this match if it was going to be this quick. Like, I mean, you didn't need Bianca Belair's considerable wrestling prowess to do a match that lasted 90 seconds.
Yeah. Jade probably should have been the squash person, right?
Like, Jade could have done the squash here. Chelsea Green, and this is not an original thought of mine, but I agree with it. I did see it floating around on an internet headline somewhere. Chelsea Green is kind of going for that vibe that The Miz has, just on the women's side, where she can be that wrestler who's comedy, but who can, if she needs to, get in the ring and wrestle.
Yeah, it's a compliment for sure to be like
it is,
The
right?
Miz.
Because we like The Miz. We don't see him a lot because he's on Raw, but like the Miz is a compliment. And if she can actually pull that off, I think she's going there. Like, I see what she's doing, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I'm getting a Miz vibe out of what Chelsea Green's doing. Chelsea's maybe a little more annoying, with the entitled Karen vibe, but the Miz was there too, right? I mean, he was this entitled brat for a while. So I like where that's going for Chelsea Green. I wonder if we're going to get Piper Niven and Jade Cargill at some point, like the two big monsters go at it.
Yeah.
In this tag team. So we've talked longer than the match lasted. Bianca reverses a roll up for a pinfall. at 8:47. The match started at 8:46.
I wanted to ask you about this. So we've been really big fans of people not getting beaten by finishers, but have we seen this a bunch or what? The reversal of a roll up? It's a roll up and then a reversal of the roll up. I feel like I've seen it a bunch.
Did I bring this up last week or the week before?
No, last
where
week
I said I'm glad that they're not doing the 5 moves of doom anymore and it's so predictable. But now everything's a roll up.
Yeah. It's weird. It's like the agent, like they get one in a week where they do a roll up, then a roll up. Or like a roll up of a roll up. I was like, okay.
2 of the 4 matches tonight were roll ups.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not even like it's Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat and what was it? Sting's first world title win over Ric Flair for the NWA World's Heavyweight title. You know, they wrestled this long match, and as Flair's going for a suplex, Sting drops down and small packages him. Where you could see, okay, after a long, grueling match, somebody just getting caught for a roll up, it might take them longer than 3 seconds to get the breath and the wind out of them to escape. But I mean, these people take all sorts of punishment and kick out at 2, kick out at 2, kick out at 2. It's like someone just rolls you over onto your shoulders. Oh, I'm helpless. I think there's got to be more of a surprise factor to it.
Well, with
and
Gunther,
maybe like some little bit of impact with it. Maybe it's more of a roll up. Maybe you really see somebody turn it into a good leverage move.
Yeah, like a cradle of some sort.
Something like cradle or really get over, or if it's the heel grabbing the trunks, something like that. But yeah, wrestling is great when it doesn't get predictable, and it doesn't get predictable if you don't overdo things.
For sure.
It's not like, okay, the problem was too many 5 moves of doom and big old pinfalls, so now we have to do roll-ups all the time and surprise finishes. Just don't do the 5 moves of doom all the time.
Yeah.
Like, these guys are tremendous athletes. They can come up with more than one way to end a match.
Yeah, it's like the dive thing. We saw that a ton before. I think they're watching us there. I know we've had Triple H on the show before, so we'll tell them we like different finishes outside the finisher, but easy on the roll-ups. We've been seeing a lot of them. We've seen the roll-up, a reversal of the roll-up. I feel like LA Knight's done that a couple times, and we don't need everyone doing it.
Yes.
So, okay. Now that we got that out of the way, how about tonight's talking segment, which I figured we could talk about in the follow here, but
sure, we had 2 of them. Which one do you want to go to?
I think the Logan Paul and LA Knight contract signing. You have a contract signing, which I have been like, oh no, another contract signing. But something about not having the table out there at least made it look a little bit unique, and having Nick Aldis out there instead. LA Knight, as always, fire on the mic. Called Logan Paul low T, which is low testosterone, which is a modern day slang saying someone's low T. You have low testosterone. And I think he kind of burned him there. I know Logan called him a knockoff Rock, which is pretty good. And then he said, I've heard that a ton. And I was like, oh, he did a good job kind of extinguishing it. LA Knight just delivers the insults so much better than anyone in the company. And Logan Paul knows what to say, but, he doesn't land as heavy. But I thought LA Knight was great, and Logan Paul held his own. What did you think about this exchange and contract signing?
I would give it the same assessment. LA Knight's great. Logan Paul holds his own for a while. Weird that Logan is initially hesitant to have a match. I mean, and Nick Aldis is out there. I mean, at some point, don't you say, look, you're a title holder, defend the damn belt?
Yeah.
I mean, why does the guy with the B-level belt get to, like, do nothing for months and months? And, like, who does he think he is, Roman Reigns? So...
Right.
And then eventually, it's that insult about, maybe balls don't grow in the family, because LA Knight's talking about Jake Paul being willing to get in there with Mike Tyson, and Logan Paul keeps ducking challengers to his U.S. title there. And that's what did it. That's what got Logan Paul to finally sign the contract. And then Nick Aldis leaves the ring. Logan Paul leaves the ring as LA Knight is trying to play back to the crowd with the signed contract he's still got in the ring there, which weirdly Nick Aldis did not take with him. Way to go. Botched by the GM. Not leaving with the signed contract that you brought in and were supposed to get signed. Logan Paul sneaks back into the ring. They have a little bit of schmaz there. LA ducks the one lucky punch, goes for the BFT. Logan slithers out of it, rolls to the floor. So we got a little physicality. We got the exchange on the mic, which I guess we wanted to see, because Logan Paul should be able to do that. He's done enough entertaining, especially spoken word entertaining, where he should be able to hold his own in there. At some point, he does call him Sean.
Yeah.
Which, a little inside baseball. Sean Ricker, that's LA Knight's name. I believe it's Sean Ricker. I think he did wrestle under his name in NWA for a while, including perhaps when he wrestled Raw GM Adam Pearce for the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship many, many years ago. He had Paul Bearer in his corner then, did Sean Ricker. Which was his connection to The Undertaker there. Little unnecessary trivia there. But I was scratching my head a little about that. Like, well, okay, what's that supposed to do?
Right.
Like, I don't know what that does. And there was another talking segment where I also went, okay, I don't know what that does. Why are they going there? Bayley and Nia Jax had a split screen interview, which seemed weird because, as we found out half an hour later, they were both in the building. So they're doing a split screen interview where Corey Graves and Wade Barrett are interviewing them as they're up on the big screen. And at one point, Bayley calls Nia Jax clumsy and reckless. And I'm going, oh, really? They're going there?
Yeah.
I thought we were past that.
Yeah.
And that's a little too shooty.
It's a shoot. Yeah.
And it's old shoot. It's like we've gotten over that. I mean, Nia's been a much better wrestler.
Yeah,
since
for sure.
She's been back with the WWE here. So going back to it's like Bayley's basically saying, yeah, remember when you used to botch stuff?
Yeah.
Totally breaking kayfabe. Remember when you used to botch stuff? Like, I don't know if I want people saying that during the wrestling program. Like, keep a little more kayfabe there.
Right. It should be a little bit more in character because you're talking about botches. That's like pretty specific. You can talk about like their life or something like that. Like when Stone Cold did a little bit of a shoot on, was it Jake the Snake? I mean, that King of the Ring promo. Because like Jake the
where
Snake
he said the Austin 316?
Yeah.
Okay,
That was more about, him finding God and how he was a drunk before that and stuff. And
Jake the Snake was going around sort of as the preacher, as the born again person, the born again wrestler. And so he was trying to quote Bible verses all the time, and we just Steve Austin turned it into Austin 316 says, "I'd just whoop your ass."
Mm-hmm.
And that just went viral before we quite knew what viral was.
Mm-hmm.
That was even pre-MySpace.
Right. That was pre-MySpace. That's true.
Which I've now mentioned twice today. All right. Anything else from this show, John? I don't think I have anything else from my notes here that I wanted to get to. Perhaps it is drive time.
Dom, is it drive time?
Well, since you're throwing it back to me, I'm going to say yes, it is. It is drive time. It is time for the thumb drive. That's where you and I are going to distill this show down to a simple thumbs up or a thumbs down. There are no ties, no thumbs in the middle. There are also no star ratings, no letter grades, no number grades. You are taking this course. Pass, fail.
Dom, we're not Dave Meltzer. This is not 7 stars in the Tokyo Dome. This is not 4 stars at some Japanese arena. This is not 2 stars on WWE Raw. This is not 6 stars at AEW Dynamite. No, no, no. This is not a star rating show. We give a simple thumbs up or thumbs down. We either liked the show or we didn't. So ready?
I am ready.
3, 2, 1. Oh, 2 thumbs up. Dom, why'd you give it a thumbs up?
Good rebound from last week. We got 3 good matches in addition to the one squash. I like that Logan Paul was at least out here on TV. I mean, he should be. He's got a belt. He's got to be on TV more, even if he's not wrestling all the time. I would like to see him. And the main event storyline going into SummerSlam, it makes a little more sense now that they're not just rehashing jumping Cody Rhodes all the time. They're playing it up that the Bloodline is trying to win the numbers game even before they go into the match. They're trying to isolate Cody Rhodes, and so I'll say even that was a little better this week, was where they're going with the SummerSlam build between Solo Sikoa and Cody Rhodes. So yeah, nothing about the show that I would say that doesn't belong on TV.
Yeah, it was all pretty good. I really liked just the wrestling matches in general, which is all we kind of asked for on a Friday night. So the wrestling matches were good. MICHIN versus Tiffany Stratton was the best match I've seen in a while on SmackDown. And I liked the Logan Paul LA Knight segment. I'm going to go ahead and say something a little crazy.
Go for it.
I'm probably more interested in Logan Paul and LA Knight's rivalry and title match than any other title in the WWE. And that's just the US title.
Agreed.
Yeah. And I can't even believe I'm saying this after being the biggest Logan Paul hater as he was kind of ascending here, but he's done a great job with the title. He's a good champ. Ugh, I can't even believe I have to say that, but
he's a good heel champ.
Yeah. He's a good chicken shit heel.
Yes.
That can, and then once he gets to the ring, he's been very solid. So
I like it. Pretty good show.
I think it's a little cheap though, right? To bring in Logan Paul. It's like you get the cheap heat, you get the 12 and 13-year-olds to tune in that are watching, his prime energy stuff. I don't know what they're watching with Logan Paul these days, but
don't we like cheap heat around here though?
This is true, Dom. We do like cheap heat. And let me bring up the screen as we enter Cheap Heat, which is a segment that we do here on Don't Bury the Lead, where we talk about WWE, AEW, and other trending topics in the pro wrestling world. Now, listen, we basically will take this footage here that we have here and cut it down into smaller videos. We have since also been posting the full thing, and it's pretty much
cheap heat segment. Yeah,
it's pretty much what has been driving our subscribers, our view count, our watch time, etc. So, we took a while here just recapping SmackDowns for 6 months or so, and we finally found something with the cheap heat. And the algorithm loves trending topics. And what is more trending right now than this topic here, Dom? Maybe you could take it away.
Pro wrestling is real. Democracy is fake. So what the heck am I watching? Worlds are colliding, Jerry. They're killing Independent George. Hulk Hogan was at the Republican National Convention. He tore off his shirt in a speech. Because of course he did. And he said, what you gonna do when the Trumpites run wild on you? I don't know here. This is floating all over the interwebbies. I've got the clip here posted on X by 3-year Letterman. because his lead-in was the European mind cannot fathom this. And I enjoy a lot of the great comments here. Putin just withdrew from Gaza after seeing this. This is why they surrendered at Yorktown. I was hoping he would do the people's elbow, his signature move. The European bicep maxes out at 17.75-inch pythons. What would that be in centimeters, Gary, with a T? I'm going to tell my kids this was Donald Trump. John, what is your favorite comment here? Is it from the 3-year Letterman or from any of those who jumped into the replies here? This is it is completely weird and yet totally expected at the same time. What say you?
National conventions, whether it's Democratic or Republican national conventions, cringy as crap ever.
Yes.
For both parties, it's just like, oh no, there's no baseball on right now, so I can't watch it. There's no other sports going on. It's like a dead time, and like this is when they kind of pump this crap to us.
Yes.
But they always have these like celebrities come out, which make you like dislike the candidate more with whatever celebrity they come out with. This was the perfect celebrity, and in character Hulk Hogan doing the whole shtick, the whole Hulk Hogan from the 80s thing, like take your vitamins, say your prayers thing. And if you're going to do the ridiculous, outrageous stuff, you might as well go full Hulk Hogan, right?
Yeah, I mean, who's better than Hulk Hogan to toe the line between shoot and work and not even realizing what's actual and what's scripted? I mean, this is just, and of course, Donald Trump loves it. He's a WWE Hall of Famer himself.
This is true.
I mean, so he knows pro wrestling. He knows entertainment. This is crazy. You were saying before, how haven't more candidates done this at their conventions and their rallies before? Like, wouldn't Ric Flair be just phenomenal coming out, doing the woo and the jet flying, limousine riding, throwing up the floor, talking about 4 more years? I mean,
wow. Yeah, I don't know what Joe Biden's doing right now, but he better be on the horn with Ric Flair, and he better be paying him a lot of money. And infinite booze or something like that. That seems to be Flair's driver these days. So
absolutely, take care of that rider in the contract.
Right. Yes. Make sure the Uber shows up and he does the drive. But I'll tell you what.
Fantastic. The 3-year Letterman here. He is a youth football coaching legend and a show-stopping Little League umpire, among other things. Tell us in the chat. Tell us in the comments, are you a youth football coaching legend? Are you a show-stopping Little League umpire? Thank you, 3-year Letterman.
Well, that's as cheap as it gets, Dom.
That is as cheap as it gets, and I don't know if the temperature has risen enough there to be heat, but it's cheap something.
Right.
Call of Duty, they alluded to this in tonight's SmackDown program. Call of Duty Season 5, releasing July 24th. They have WWE superstar operators Rhea Ripley, Rey Mysterio, and Cody Rhodes, who apparently are playable characters in Call of Duty. This video here is from Call of Duty. Please don't strike our channel and make us take this off. We are playing your friggin' commercial for people. It's advertising for you.
I think you're good.
Be nice, algorithm. We're not stealing someone's content. It's a commercial we're airing for free. So anyway, have you ever played Call of Duty? I understand that video games are not only a big deal, but video games that you can play online with other people remotely are an even bigger deal. And a lot of the first-person shooter games are awesome. We can see the Rhea Ripley character that's playable here. Coming in here, we also saw somebody who looked like Cody Rhodes giving somebody a crossroads. I don't know if I would bring a spinning neck breaker that takes a long time to execute to a gunfight. But hey, whatever. It's a shoot. It's a work. It's a video game.
Oh, they have all of the wrestlers. So they have like not just Rhea Ripley, but a couple other people.
Rey Mysterio and Cody Rhodes. This was
Interesting.
their commercial. Do you play Call of Duty, John? I do not.
I played maybe 15 years ago, 10 years, whenever
Okay.
it first came out, I had played it a little bit, but I am not a gamer. I don't have a lot of free time on my hands because my only free time I really spend on YouTube editing videos, which is kind of my video game, if you will. But I do know enough about video games and how they're kind of pushed at this point. Is they have these universes, if you will, where like you buy a Call of Duty, then you have to buy all this other stuff, and that's how they kind of make money. So I'd imagine
Yep.
you might have to pay money for different skins and stuff like that for
Yep.
this. So it's a good cross promotional thing. And maybe WWE gets a cut of it, and if nothing at all, they get some publicity.
Oh,
Rhea
sure, for
Ripley
licensing. Yeah,
is well on her way to becoming a big star, and
she is.
let's face it, does she have the look or what to look like a superhero in a video game? So
I question wearing the wrestling trunks out to the fighting world there.
yeah, if you're in the military.
I mean, she could wear the outfit that she usually wears to the ring.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I also am not a gamer, and like you were saying, from what I understand, yes, my understanding is the same way that a lot of this stuff is now software as a service, where you sign up for a subscription and you got to pay to buy other things to unlock certain aspects of the game.
Yeah,
And
tell us in the comments as
absolutely.
we were really lost on a clip with Mercedes Monet on the last week, and that got a lot of views, and a lot of people gave us comments and let us know what the deal is. So, what is the deal with Call of Duty, and like why would WWE cross promote? Because I would be guessing. So, tell us in the comments. How's that sound?
There any Call of Duty video game fans out there, players who know this stuff better than us? Educate us. We don't mind when you disagree with us in the comments. We don't mind when you tell us stuff that we don't know in the comments, especially if we ask and say, hey, anybody out there, let's crowdsource it. Let's give us some more information. The only thing we ask is if you're commenting there on YouTube, keep the comments YouTube appropriate. Do not get us do not get your friends here at Don't Bury the Lead a little YouTube strike there with something a little inappropriate.
We're
there
very close. You can tell we're very close. Maybe a little cheap here for us, but very close to getting to the watch hours for monetization.
Yes.
So we are treading lightly a bit as we head toward the finish line.
Yes.
But
he says as I open Cheap Hit by telling everybody that democracy is fake.
Right. Democracy is
don't put
fake.
that in the video description anywhere.
Right. If
like,
we're gonna
guy says electoral politics is fake. It's like, yeah, I did, but like don't give them the hint. Like make them watch us like WWE does in order to find that. Like make it tough on them.
Yes, you have to
make
dig
my
through.
FBI guy contact them and get in touch with them.
Yeah, I think they'll realize it's parody. I hope.
Whatever. It's cheap heat.
Well, moving
on.
We're
doing the thing. We're doing the cheap heat. Sometimes we're heels. Tony Khan, this one comes to us from comingsoon.net. Tony Khan names the top star as the face of AEW's network. He was talking about, with all the great stars they have, that Adam Copeland is really the face of AEW's broadcasting partner, TNT. Bummer that Adam Copeland jumped off the top of a cage trying to elbow a guy through a table and broke his leg. Oh, well. But yeah, you brought up before, John, about AEW taking some heat on the internet about their storylines maybe not being there. They've got a lot of great wrestlers who can do storylines, who can tell a story in the ring, great ring psychology guys. And how has Adam Copeland been since he's made the jump over to All Elite Wrestling? What say you? You've watched him. Is he kind of face of the company guy, or at least face of TNT?
I think Tony is headed in the right direction saying this, because before Edge or Adam Copeland was there,
Mhm.
they had a lot of turmoil backstage. It wasn't just CM Punk. There's like lots of bickering, lots of this happened and that happened, and I think there just wasn't that veteran leader presence that like John Cena is a good example, or Undertaker, that
Mm.
kind of mediates the boys. And then in addition to that, you've got certain guys in the back that I'm trying to put the words to this the best way I can.
They have guys like Jericho and Christian Cage, so they don't lack for guys who've been in the business for a long time.
But I think that Jericho is not necessarily a disciplinary type guy, or at least I think Jericho is feeding into a lot of this stuff. And then in addition to that, I would just want to say they have a lot of young guys. They have a lot of guys that are in their mid-20s, late 20s. They were complete nobodies. Now they're in AEW. They've got some fame. It kind of gets to your head. There's probably a lot of other stuff going on that we don't even know about. Hey, they're rock stars. I don't blame them. If I was 25 and I was in AEW, I'd probably be doing extremely stupid things, right? So, if you think about it from that perspective, I think that maybe that's what he means by Adam Copeland being their top star, that he's been a good guy the whole time. I know they awarded, and just one more thing here, they awarded Samoa Joe with the title because he was the guy that was keeping like CM Punk in line during that whole incident. He calmed everyone down. He got a match at CM Punk at their big show. That could have been a complete nightmare if they didn't go out and wrestle.
Yes.
Like that would have been horrific, right? Like a complete disaster. Like your biggest
show.
Yeah,
their biggest gate ever out in Wembley, right?
And CM Punk can't come out and wrestle, and he wasn't going to, and Joe talked him into it. And they went out and they had a regular match, and you wouldn't think anything of it. But then so anyways, I think that's what Tony Khan is alluding to.
Okay, I wondered if he was talking simply because Adam Copeland had the name recognition for all those years as Edge in WWE, and that when he came over to AEW, he wasn't like dogging it or didn't look like a shell of himself. That has Adam Copeland looked, I mean, aside from the jumping off the top of the cage and cracking his tibia or whatever was in his lower leg, has he looked like he's given it his all in there and is as athletic and entertaining as you could expect, and maybe even a little more? I mean, before that accident, did he look like he was really giving it his all to the AEW?
I think that their best star that they brought over is Daniel Bryanson, or Bryan Danielson. That was always going to throw me for a loop.
Yes.
Bryan Danielson, I think is definitely their best star. He's having the best matches. He's getting the big pops. He looks like he belongs, and he looks like he's transformed, even leveled up a little bit, if you somehow did, from WWE.
Okay.
He's in fantastic shape. He's got dreadlocks now. There's like braids, and there's something about it that makes him look a little bit less friendly and goofy and a little bit more serious.
Okay, huh?
Yeah. Like, I guess no, it's not dreadlocks. It's kind of like these braids, but the way that they're
like
structured,
cornrows, like Carmelo
cornrows almost. Yeah.
Okay.
He cornrowed his long hair, and he's got the beard and everything, and he's, what's his name? Today, LA Knight said Logan Paul was low T. Let's just say he's not low T. He might be high T, if you know what I mean. But yeah. So, anyways, I think Bryan Danielson is the guy, and then there's also Jon Moxley. I think he's also been that. So maybe Adam Copeland, though, has been pretty solid. He hasn't been amazing, but he's been solid.
Okay, very good. One of the people you mentioned, Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho got a big endorsement from Jake Hager here, saying that Chris Jericho puts over guys, and you don't see people like Sting putting anybody over, like actually letting them win the match like that. He was on the No Shave Man Cave, which is a fellow YouTube channel here. He sat in for the interview there. We will not play their interview, but of course, go to if you'd like to see this whole thing, No Shave Man Cave. Here on YouTube. This article comes to us from WrestleZone, though, and
yeah, if you want,
what
Tom,
say you about Chris Jericho.
You could easily play like a YouTube clip of a small gut person, and if you want to just mute it, and I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, let's just get to the WrestleZone. Some of the excerpted comments here.
So
Talking
no
about
shit-
Jericho, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's not the disciplinarian back there, but Jake Hager at least was impressed by the fact that Chris Jericho would go out there and wrestle guys, and sometimes win the match, sometimes lose the match, and not throw a fit about hey, what about my spot? I got to win all the time, which
yeah.
maybe veterans have done over the long and storied history of pro wrestling. Perhaps even one particular Hollywood person who we mentioned earlier in Cheap Heat for a different reason.
Yeah, a specific political guy that we were referencing at the moment.
Wrestling politics. Yeah, so maybe Jericho's not the guy playing a lot of wrestling politics. What say you about watching Chris Jericho work?
Well, I got some news for you. He's correct. He has put a lot of guys over. I loved Jericho going into AEW. Like loved what he was doing. We have a short where I talk about this, but I'll just even talk about him again. I think that Chris Jericho is the first guy to really get the ball rolling to do something outside of WWE, because up until that point, WWE was the only show in town.
Yep.
So he said, hey, I got contacted by New Japan. Vince said, sure, go do it. And they're like, all right. And he hadn't been getting along well with creative at that point. Like he got buried in a WrestleMania thing. So he's like, okay, I'll go to New Japan. He goes to New Japan. He breathes life into that promotion. He starts wrestling for them. And he's wrestling Kenny Omega. So he's getting Kenny Omega exposure. There's Americans in the crowd at this show, and you could hear him chanting for Y2J and stuff like that. So then that really sparked a lot of the stuff with All In. Eventually, when the Young Bucks have the show with Cody Rhodes,
yes,
and kind of led into AEW. So he's kind of the godfather, or that really created all of the concept of a second company or working for other companies and having success, as well as the success that AEW has had. Now, I know a lot of people on the internet right now, it's very in vogue to trash AEW, but you can't deny their success that they've had up to this point.
The quote from Hager was here. Do you see Triple H putting over any new guys? Talking about in the past. Do you see Undertaker putting over any new guys? Do you see any top guys that have been in the business as long as Jericho putting over anybody? Did Sting put anybody over? No, he's trying to build, saying Jericho again. Jericho's trying to build. He understands it, and it drives me crazy that nobody talks about this. He's putting these guys, he's putting over these guys. He's putting the stamp on them, which you sort of talked about, Kenny Omega in Japan.
Yeah.
Did he make Orange Cassidy hot? I mean, come on. I'm biased, but I just think the fact that he is so unselfish with building this company, forget about it. So Jake Hager agrees with you there. Good for Jericho getting some compliments here. This comes to us from WrestleZone here. Is that Big Bill in the background?
That's Big Bill.
Big Bill, and there's Chris Jericho. Very good.
Yeah,
Jericho
so Jake
had the belt.
Jake Hager was in Jericho's
Appreciation Society?
Appreciation Society. Before that, they had a good one, the Inner Circle.
Okay.
The first the first stable he had was called the Inner Circle, and that was the best one.
All right.
Jericho Appreciation Society was a little bit more cheesy and a little bit more shots at WWE.
Okay.
They call it sports entertainment the whole time. They just kept calling everything, this is sports entertainment, and they acted like sports entertainers. They would dance and stuff,
Okay. Some
it's a big
parody.
they were
good.
ribbing the WWE by acting like WWE wrestlers.
Oh, see, maybe I would have enjoyed that. I'm a fan of parody and satire.
Yeah.
And a good joke here or there. Hey, bringing up Triple H there. Someone else apparently invoked Triple H. Scott Steiner. This comes to us from Fightful. Scott Steiner on steroid use. You can make all the accusations you want. I never failed a drug test. He was talking on bring up an episode of AEW biography, WWE Legends. He said, "I never failed a drug test. Take that information and do what you want with it. When I made the transition from Steiner Brothers to Big Papa Pump, I wanted to get in the best shape I possibly could. A lot of strict diet. Once you are leaner, you're naturally going to look bigger." And he says he had previously told Slam Sports, "I've never failed a drug test in my life. When WWE told me to take one, I told them to have Triple H pick me up in a limo. We could go test together. They never asked again." There's somebody who knows how to play the game.
Yeah,
And yes, that's a pun I intended.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't think it was a mystery what Triple H was doing, because you could see sometimes he would be enormous, and then there were some times when he looked so doughy. It's like, oh god, he's off the juice. He's just doughy now, and because he'd cycle on and off, and they'd have to do the drug tests, so he'd always know the drug. I'm sure his father-in-law was telling him when the drug tests were.
all right. So Scott Steiner claims, and if anybody can refute Scott Steiner's claim here, please do. He says he never failed a drug test, and of course we know Scott Steiner also never failed a math test.
Right. I love it.
Because he could do all that in his head. Genius, Scott Steiner. We love him. Big Papa Pump.
No, amazing. Yeah.
Again, from coming soon, this is The Miz, who we've talked about earlier. His versatility as just an all-around entertainer, guy who can get in there and wrestle, but also do other things. The Miz comments on fewer matches at WWE Premium Live events. If you look at it, think of all the top stars right now and talking about how hot wrestling's been. But then he said, "I love what we're doing with these premium live events where we're having 5 or 6 matches. So instead of trying to cram 8 or 9 matches into a pay-per-view, now called premium live events, and the matches being kind of short, he likes it better that it's actually tougher for a wrestler to get on a pay-per-view, onto a premium live event, because now there's only 5. We've been seeing 5 matches for a non-WrestleMania pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Just pretty consistently. 5 matches. He likes that the premium live event matches are going longer. There's only 5 of them. So, you can do a premium live event in 3.5 hours with long matches. And what say you? I think we've talked about this before. We've noticed a change. Do we like it better, worse?
What is the change? It was
they used to cram a lot more matches into a premium live event so that more wrestlers could get on the card.
Oh yeah,
and so the matches either wound up being shorter, or the pay-per-views went like 4.5 hours.
Yeah,
or
no.
combination therein.
I love the pacing of these shows. I really do. And you know what? They're frequent, and at the rate that they push them out, I am not doing a 4 or 5 hour show every couple weeks. I'm just not doing it. And I'm sick of the show. By the time the main event's over, I'm done. So it's always perfect. I used to watch these WWE events, and they would drag on and on, and then they'd have an extra match, and you'd be like, oh, I don't even want to watch this. And then it was finally the main event. It's Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. Face Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. It was always that. And the crowd would be dead because they'd be tired. Because it was like 12:30 on a Sunday night at 12:30. And it's like, how did the show go so late? Yeah. Comment and let us know. Did you used to watch pro wrestling when you would see like pay-per-views that would go like so long into the night, and it would be a Sunday night, and you have to get up for work at 7 a.m.
I am in agreement with you. I like the format of the premium live events where they do 5 matches that have plenty of time. Now, part of that may also be that because these are not total pay-per-views anymore, they're premium live events streamed through Peacock. that they are now running commercials during the premium live events.
Yeah.
So it's part of them having to raise revenue other ways other than the buy rate on these PLEs. So that is also maybe the reason why they can't squeeze an extra match into some of these events. But the overall idea of having fewer matches, but really good matches, have the show go 3.5 hours and get out and leave people wanting more, especially if you're having another one in 4 more weeks. There's going to be 2 premium live events in the month of August.
Right.
You know, SummerSlam on the 3rd, Bash in Berlin, which I still insist should be called the Berlin Brawl. Tear it down at the Berlin Brawl will be August 31st.
Berlin Brawl. That's a shame, right? We missed that one.
Oh,
wow.
I've been harping on it on and off for months since they announced it.
Well, Dom, I'll make a short out of it.
You go. Tear it down at the Berlin Brawl.
Right. Yeah.
Come on, go for the poor taste pun.
Yes. Yes.
What are they going to do? Ban you from the internet over in Germany? Oh, wait, they probably would.
They might. Yeah, I don't think you're allowed to talk about that stuff. Although that was a positive thing for them. I think they might want to talk about that.
There you go, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, eventually tearing down the wall. So there we go. On to some wrestling promotion associations here. TNA Wrestling Champion, the Moose, talks about how great the WWE relationship with. This was kind of cheap heat when I read it because he's putting AEW on blast. I'm like, okay, this is definitely cheap heat. It's also kind of salty and petty.
Which we like.
Well, yeah, we could go with that. You know, so Moose commenting on the way TNA and WWE have their current partnership and that it's doing better. And Moose said, I think it's the best relationship TNA's ever had. Way better than the one we had with AEW, better than what was done with AAA and any other company. Now, maybe it's because there's such a gravitas disparity between WWE and TNA that it's not like the two of them have to posture against each other like WWE feels threatened.
Yeah.
Like they will enter into something with TNA. It almost feels like the way they entered into something with ECW as a way to stick it to WCW, who is in the middle. Like the guy on top partners with the guy that's maybe down there in third.
Yeah.
Stick it to the guy who's in second.
Wow, it's literally what they're doing from the 90s. Huh.
Yeah. This is WWE going to the number 3 promotion to stick it to the one that's in between them getting sandwiched there.
Yeah, interesting. Very interesting.
Anyway, Moose seems to be a fan of this. I personally have not seen much of the crossover here because they basically do it on NXT, which I don't watch. I don't have whatever the thing is that NXT is broadcast on. Although maybe I do. I haven't checked into if it's on Peacock yet.
I think it's on
live.
CW.
CW. I don't have CW, so I don't have TV. I got rid of TV 10 years ago, at least more than 10 years ago. But from what I hear, it's great for people, and we do occasionally at the Royal Rumble get TNA stars showing up. Jordan Grace was a big pop at this year's Royal Rumble, and she became one of the people who made the crossover into NXT in the months since Royal Rumble. There's Joe Henry, who apparently is a big star. Everybody likes him.
Yeah, people. I've seen a lot of stuff on the internet about Joe Henry. I had no idea who he was.
Mm-hmm. I don't know much. Tell us in the chat if you're watching the recording on archive. Tell us in the comments. Do you know Joe Henry? Do you know Moose? Do you know some of the TNA people who've been part of this crossover? What have you thought of the crossover and how some of these TNA wrestlers have been featured in them? They're not just getting buried or made to look like they're a minor league organization. I would hope not. I'm a fan of TNA Impact from years and years ago when I saw them. And back when TNA Impact used to draw 2 million viewers to their TV shows. I mean, 2 million viewers is what Raw draws nowadays.
It's crazy. Yeah.
You know, like TNA used to draw 2 million viewers on Spike TV. You know, so I do have fond memories of TNA. And if they're being treated well by WWE, that's great. Good for everybody around there. Another association WWE is with GCW, which, if you're an old timer, is not Georgia Championship Wrestling.
It certainly isn't.
It is Game Changer Wrestling. Matt Cardona here believes that Game Changer Wrestling invasion could be nearing with the WWE. That might be interesting, especially since he's talking about the former Zack Ryder is talking. You talk about a perfect way for Matt Cardona to make his debut in the WWE, because he ain't coming back as Zack Ryder. Zack Ryder is dead. Imagine if Matt Cardona comes down the aisle. Nick Gage hops the barricade. You want to talk about moments? That's a moment. Effie, Janela, SDL, Alley Catch, Mance Warner. You get everybody we could bring in. Brett Lauderdale could be the new Paul Heyman on commentary. This is Matt Cardona's job. He's like king of the indies. It's his job to pitch thing and drum up excitement. But does he have a point? Would Matt Cardona with this new persona, not Zack Ryder, would Matt Cardona with this Game Changer Wrestling affiliation here be a guy who would draw interest from the WWE audience if he showed up as Matt Cardona? Chelsea Green, his wife, would like it.
I got some news for you, Dom. Some of the guys he mentioned, I don't think the WWE would want to touch with a 6-foot pole.
Right.
Nick Gage is a former convict, and he's just a death match guy. He actually went to my high school. He's from National Park, New Jersey.
Okay.
These are all Jersey people. Matt Tremont, do you remember him from the old H2O arena?
Yes,
he's in GCW. Joey Janela, who was in AEW, he's a bit of a buffoon. He's always drunk. He's like he got drunk and tried to start a fight with Enzo Amare at a Vans Warp Tour. So yeah, there's some.
He sounds like a ripoff of early Bonsall Street Bomber.
But instead of it being in gimmick, it was his real life personality.
Oh, what a loser!
What a loser! No, you can't be a real loser. You know, you can't be a. You have to be a kayfabe loser, not a real loser.
He needs Diamond Earl Scruggs to help him clean up his act.
Right. Well, anyways, I think it would be cool for Matt Cardona to go back to WWE for like a one-off, but I'm not sure that these clowns should also be involved because I would say this: they do all the deathmatch stuff. They're just everyone's bleeding all over the place. They're all doing the crazy stuff, and that's their thing. Like I'm just saying, like that's their thing. They do their thing, but it's, I've seen some of these guys wrestle in South Jersey. Man, I don't know. I hope I don't get in trouble for this, but I've seen some of these guys wrestle in South Jersey. I've seen some of the death matches, and no, thank you.
Yeah, it's a niche audience, right?
It's quite the niche audience, and that there is no audience for it except for a couple weirdos.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that can work on a small scale. I don't think WWE wants to do that. WWE, if they're going to do crossovers, they want people who can fit what WWE is. They don't want people who are going to be way out there that now change for the time they're on the screen what WWE programming is.
They got John Moxley from CZW because he was a deathmatch
Combat
guy.
Zone Wrestling, right?
Yeah, and he was doing the deathmatch stuff, and they brought him to WWE, just made him a wrestler, and then he became a good wrestler.
Right? And they brought him in. He had to fit WWE to work at WWE.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, so that's where we're going with it. Hey, let's close up with something. We started with the 3-year Letterman. Let's finish up with ex-user Stan Thrax, who was at an AEW show recently where Will Ospreay, out in the stands, held MJF against the guardrail there and had a 7-year-old deliver strikes to MJF's chest. John, you watch AEW.
I do.
Are you surprised? Did you happen to see this? Was it on Dynamite like they're saying here?
It was on Dynamite. I missed this match.
Oh,
but
no.
I would be thrilled to have a 7-year-old chop MJF. I think this was really cool, and I also think it was great because just to give her the finger after she does it. You see that he
Yeah.
gives her the finger right after she slaps him. It's great because MJF doesn't he no sells it, which he should because she's a child.
Yes.
So she just does the thing, and he's like gives her the finger, which is fantastic. I like stuff like this. I like when they get the crowd involved to a certain degree. There was a time MJF took this woman's drink and threw it in this guy in one of the wrestlers' faces, but that drink was like at a $22 margarita. Like it was like a huge, like one of those huge alcoholic margarita drinks.
Oh, wow.
And when he threw it in the person's face, it also hit like some kids. So they were like, one of the rules now, I think, is like, don't take their drink and spill it because you're throwing alcohol on children sometimes.
Yes, sometimes. You're an AEW fan. I know you've gone to AEW shows.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I misspoke. He took the drink and threw it at the child, and it was alcohol. That's what it was. Yeah. So it's a mother and the son, and it takes it from the mother and throws it on the kid. And that was like some really nasty heel stuff, and it was hilarious. But I think the mom wasn't too thrilled about that.
Well, yeah, you've lost the margarita.
And the kid's probably like freaked,
Part of the show. John, you've been to AEW live events before. In a few years, are we going to see perhaps Big John Studd pounding some wrestler who's being held up in the stands by another wrestler while you film it on your phone?
Oh my God. If that was me right there, I'd say lay into him. Let's stiff him. Do what Tiffany Stratton does.
Right.
Lay it in.
Dragon screw on the knee.
Right. Yeah, really make an impact there because in the future I want you wrestling pro. So
there you go. Fantastic. Thank you to everybody involved in this, including Stan Thrax, for posting this to his X account here. This was a fun way to end. It is pathologically frugal. It is unseasonably warm. It is cheap heat.
Cheap heat. All right. Let's move on down. Let's mosey on down to our next segment here, Dom. So, we just did cheap heat. And folks, we're going to get into the Italian goodbye.
Who's been hanging out with us on the live stream so far? We've had a few live streams where we've had like a dozen or so, few dozen actually tune in live, which is really cool. Have we had anybody in the live stream tonight?
We've had some people in the live stream, but we're just being a little quiet tonight, which is okay. If you don't want to chat, you can.
Okay. Well, then we would like to encourage you during the final segment here as we slowly make our way to the door here in the Italian goodbye. We would like you to demonstrate all of the courage and bravado of a 7-year-old girl at an AEW live event. Get in there and lay in some shots. We can take it. Tell us what you liked about today's show. Is there anything you didn't like? Is there anything from Cheap Heat that you wanted us to mention that we didn't from the world of pro wrestling this past week? Is there anything from tonight's SmackDown episode that we did not either give enough attention to, or maybe we kind of skipped over it entirely or just kind of gave it a glancing blow there? Tell us what you wanted to see more of. Tell us maybe what we could have done less of. Or, every now and then we'll take a compliment. Just come on in and give us the big old thumbs up, the shout out. Tell us you're enjoying it. We do like hearing from the people in the live chat who do join us for these live streams. And of course, if you're watching on the replay available at YouTube, remember to subscribe at YouTube. And of course, throw something in the comments for us. If you happen to be watching an edited clip that we've put out that John makes. John is our video producer here. He's not only our live stream director, he's our video producer for the edited clips and the shorts. If you're watching on that, Tell us something in the comments. Hit the like button. Tell us something in the comments that you're interested in. From it.
Yeah. I'm kind of the live stream director. You do the cheap heat and you arrange that whole thing.
I
So-
do, because it's just unfair to make you toggle through that and control the restream video at the same time.
No, you do a great job with it. I gotta say, it's come out really well. And now that we're
Yeah.
pumping out these full cheap heat videos, it's cool to see everything kind of come together and how it's turned into a watchable show, because we'll get 10, 12
Right.
hours of view time there.
Yeah,
And-
yeah. We try to do little segues there with the order of them. I know you and I are now talking since you've been putting out full segment cheap heats as a standalone video. We've been really talking about, okay, what should be the opener for cheap heat?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we're putting it together like it's a real kind of news show rather than just, you know, the variety 20 to 25, 30 minutes that then gets broken up into clips. Yeah, we're trying to make it like it's a full segment of its own, like a standalone.
I know we have some people on Twitch. I know we have some people on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, we have a new feature here. If you get down to the bottom right of the screen, you're going to see a subscribe button. Go ahead and click the subscribe button right on that screen there. If you're watching on your cell phone, it's easy to do. So, you know, if you're hanging on here and you're watching us now, we're a small channel. It's really helpful if we get subscribers, because we're at 700. And the ultimate goal, I think, we hit our newest goal, and probably our next goal is what? 750, Dom? 750 is a good number.
750 is a nice round number. Of course, we're trying to get to 1,000, aren't we?
Yeah, 1,000 is the real end goal. But from our perspective, we do little goals here at a time. We do realistic goals. So let's do 750 for the next one, maybe 900 for the next, and then we can even say the 1,000 will be a big day.
Our channel will be a figure 4.
Our channel will be a figure 4.
That's right.
Yes. We are also close to the first step of monetization. We need 150 more watch hours. So go ahead. Actually, you sitting right here watching, keep doing that. It's very helpful.
Stay with us here. It's wonderful.
Yeah. We're 150 hours away. Very, very exciting stuff. I hope they accept our channel. We'll have to see.
I'm looking at the stats right now in real time. 701 subscribers, and our 527 videos have resulted in 344,434 views.
Wow.
It does not list the watch hours, but yeah, being up hitting 701 subscribers and almost 350,000 total channel views.
That's amazing. I would have never thought that when we first started, Dom. I know we talk about this a lot.
Yes.
Dom and I would do a version of this show, which was a lot different, where we only really just talked about SmackDown. So we would talk about SmackDown and decide it was good or bad. And I don't even think we decided it was good or bad.
Yeah, we didn't do the thumb drive yet.
Yeah.
All of the segmenting of the show is maybe within the last year or so. It was definitely post WrestleMania 39.
Yeah.
So it's maybe just a year old that we're doing actual segments for the show with the backdrops and, you know, all the segments like the thumb drive and, you know, a formal cheap heat. Yeah, our channel we keep tinkering with what we're doing based on how the show is turning out and some of the feedback we're getting. So yes, if you are watching, if you are subscribed, if you're thinking about leaving a comment, your input matters.
Yeah. So
Go
I mean,
for it.
early on, we would do the live stream. Nobody would watch. And then it would get like, no one would actively watch us while we were doing it.
No.
So, and the only time that somebody actually came on, they offered me to like join a porn site. So it was a bot, just like, hey, join this porn site. And I was like, oh, we have a viewer.
It's like, oh, no, we don't. Not really.
No, never mind.
Yeah.
So we didn't have anyone watching. We would get like, so I started to cut up the videos, and then I cut up the videos, and they would get like, I would like, I hope it gets 10 views. It'd be like 4 or 5 views. And I was like, were they all you, Dom? It's like, no. So
some of them were, because I would do game film.
Yeah.
After our live streams, I would go watch the program again and do like timestamps and things. And yeah, that was so. If you ever saw like one view, it was like, okay, that was me.
Mm-hmm.
And then you would watch it. So that would be 2 views. So really, our goal was to get 3 views. Or like 4, because sometimes 2 of the views were me, because sometimes I would just watch it very quickly without logging into my YouTube account. And then I would later on, like the next day, log into my YouTube account, remember to log into my YouTube account and go watch it. And so that would count as 2 views. So yes, 2 views would be me, a view would be you. So like if we got 5 viewers, that meant like 2 other people watched it.
Which is huge. Somebody
That
else
was
watched.
that was huge for us. Now we've gotten to the point where we had a live stream get 533 views within the last month.
Which
That
is
was
crazy.
when Paul Heyman was sent through the table
Mhm.
to end that SmackDown.
That was all about the thumbnail because it was Heyman getting put through and he looked crazy. He looked.
I
Like
think
he...
so. Yes, Paul Heyman looked like he was already in a coma.
and I was talking to Fran about that because he mentioned it to me. He said, "Oh yeah, I saw you guys had that one Heyman video. I didn't click into it, but I saw that the thumbnail. It's a good thumbnail, right?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I didn't realize like he's so fat. It looks so crazy. Like, how did he get so fat? He never was that fat in ECW." I was like, "Yeah, I know. He's huge."
Well, watch. Don't bury the lead, and maybe you'll find out.
Maybe you'll find out, Fran. Maybe you'll find out.
We had another SmackDown recap within the last month that got over 200 views.
Mhm.
We've had some, let's see, some premium live events. Elimination Chamber went up over 200, and we
Mhm.
weren't even doing that right afterwards. We did that the next day.
Mhm.
That was at your humble estate there because it was in Australia. We weren't going to watch it at 6 a.m.
No.
So we just picked later in the day on Sunday to watch it. So we've had a few really cool stuff. WWE Fastlane went to almost to 200 views. So we've had a lot of people jumping in, not only live stream, but also checking out the stuff in the archive. Please keep doing it.
The great thing about the Australia show was we weren't going to watch it. Should we watch it later?
Mm-hmm.
And you could fast forward through all the crap. It was like, wow. We could just watch the matches. You cut this thing down to an hour and a half.
Yep.
Mm.
Very recently, you started doing these breakdown videos.
This is true.
A breakdown of the Wild Women's Money in the Bank match from exactly a week ago, up over 2,300 views. It's almost our best short form, not the shorts, #shorts, but our best edited clip of 2024. It's within 200 of being the number one thing we've put out this year.
Yeah.
That was not a shorts. So those are doing well. Excellent work there. And that's the kind of thing where if people are going to watch it and like it and comment, maybe that means you have a little more on your plate there, John.
I know. You were
We
talking
need some
about
more breakdowns of things.
You were talking about the Alabama Slam tonight. And I was thinking about just taking what you said about the Alabama Slam and during my breakout down, and I'll include that your voice in it.
Oh, boy.
We got to get you involved in the breakdown somehow.
So,
you know?
Well, hey, maybe I'll be in a shorts on the Worlds Colliding there.
Right.
From earlier today.
Hey, we got some other people piling in here. Maybe a question for them. Did you guys watch SmackDown tonight? What do you think of it? And
yes.
What do you think of Tiffany Stratton? Is she good? You like her Alabama Slam, huh? Because we like it.
We
nasty,
did like
we
the
like
Alabama Slam. Yes.
Mm-hmm. We're in the Italian goodbye here. This is when we're supposed to be saying, "Oh, we're signing off," but the Italian goodbye is like, you get to the parlor, you're out front, and you start talking, and you're like, "Oh, is that what's going on? Oh, yeah. Oh, that's how they're doing. Okay.
Oh, and one more thing, and
one more thing.
The next time you're in town, you should come visit us. We got to show you the new this, and you got to know this and that. Yeah, I'm Italian. If you want to leave a party by 10 o'clock, you must start saying goodbye no later than 9:30. You will not make it out the door. And I Italian goodbye everybody. I do it on phone calls, on now video calls, on Zoom and stuff. I do it in real life, in person. It's a sickness. I'm not aware that there's any cure for it. So it just happens. I don't know what to do about it.
Dom, I'm going to step away for just a sec, and I'll leave this over here just in case comments come through.
Just in case a comment pops in. Okay, there you've had it. So, all right. So, Uncle Dom is babysitting here for the next few minutes. So, let's see. What do you young'uns want to talk about there in the chat? I can see the chat now, so you can bring it up there, and I'll read off the chat. I won't even need my reading glasses that I don't have anyway. It's I can see it. It's plenty large type size enough on the screen there, which I'm trying to keep rather tiny because it's rather dark and makes my face a little dark. But yeah, this is your time to ask me any sorts of questions. Did you have any questions about not only tonight's show but anything else? Like it's Open Line Fridays here that they used to do on a lot of the either the music radio shows where it was like all requests Friday or all request weekend, or call-in talk shows would say, yeah, it's a all request or Open Line Friday. You know, whatever you want to talk about, we'll put you on the air as long as you don't like curse and get us, thrown off the air by the FCC or whatever. So yes, if you have something YouTube appropriate to say, please do drop it into the live chat there, whether you're joining us on Twitch, whether you're joining us on X.com, whether you're joining us on YouTube. Send something over to Uncle Dom. We'll chat. I was recently, I was an indie musician years ago, and in a past life, I was an indie musician. And sometime last year, I reconnected with the owner of the mastering studio who mastered my full-length album and then an EP that I did. A full-length album I did in 2006, and then a 5-song EP I did in 2007. And I hadn't seen him since 2007. I only saw him like twice, maybe 3 times, even back then. I ran into him. He and his family moved the next town over. I actually met his adult son first at a charity organization that we both belonged to. His adult son was a new member there, and had brought some books that he had written, some fantasy sci-fi books. He's an author. And I brought some books, gave one to me, and I looked at the name, and I said, I used to know someone by that name who ran a recording studio in Philadelphia called Masterwork Recording. And he said to me, yeah, that's my dad. And so eventually I met his parents and reconnected with the old owner of a mastering studio. And I also remembered the name of the mastering engineer, the chief engineer of the place, who mastered my album in 2006 and in 2005, my EP. And it was really cool. And I got to reconnect with him just this past Saturday, so 6 days ago. I was at the home of the old owner, and the chief engineer came down for a visit. And so for 17 years later, and he kind of remembered me, which was really cool. Because of course I remember them, right? I've got one mastering engineer that I've ever worked with, and one mastering studio. So it's easy for me to remember that. But for these guys who had hundreds, maybe thousands of clients over the decades, for him to remember me, I was like, oh, wow. That was flattering to say. That was flattering there. We are getting more of the humble estate there that John has there. Very good.
Dom, this is like an IRL stream, in real life stream.
Okay.
Yeah. It looks like I scared them off, actually.
Oh, okay.
There was 4 people, and now we're down to none. So I think on that note, what do you think?
It's time for a real goodbye.
It's time for a real goodbye. Dom, thanks so much for joining. Let's hide this so we get back to a normal. Dom, thanks so much for joining. Really appreciate what you did tonight, especially specifically finding the Hulk Hogan thing. I cannot wait to make a video about that and see what the comments say. I'm sure they'll be very reasonable.
I think I got my main jokes in within the 20-second duration of the video.
Right.
That might be a good shorts.
Yes, it's got good short written all over it.
Yes, we are now Italian goodbying each other and one of your cats with nobody watching.
With nobody watching. That's right. There's one person on Twitch, but
Excellent, thank you.
yeah, one person on Twitch.
Find us on YouTube and subscribe to Don't Bury the Lead, a wrestling channel over on YouTube. You get all of our content, not just the live streams, the archive of our full shows, the edited clips that John makes, and the under 60-second shorts.
And let me tell you something. Dom, appreciate you joining, and have a great rest of your